Hey, everybody. Welcome back to During Business Hours. I'm Chris.
I'm Eric.
And this is John Filax from YouTube, public auditor. 250,000 subscribers, doing some honest God's work over there in Florida. How you doing today, John?
Fantastic, sir. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah. Well, we've met before, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
I was demonetized over a year ago.
Like in total?
Oh, yeah.
They don't do it just for, like, not per video for you?
No, totally.
They can't
The Maslow report. There's a whole group of people who have Facebook pages who just try to demonetize all of us.
Holy shit.
There's a guy named Don Neckhash who brags about it. I've called the lawyer like 4 times. They're like, you could try to fight YouTube and that guy, but it was pointless pretty much.
So what happens if you start a new channel and like shoot shit?
Then you're circumventing the system. That's
I
bannable.
started a new channel, but I also had to start working because there's no more money from YouTube. So I work till 3 a.m. now and sleep during the day. It's hard having 2 channels because I'd have to put a video on both channels to tell the people to go to the second channel. So you have to do twice the work. And when I finally got to the monetization status, they told me I have reused content, even though it's all my own content.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they're playing games, dude. It's nothing objective about it. I'm doing the same thing Lackluster and San Joaquin are doing, just not allowed to make money from it.
So I got banned a long time ago from Google ads.
Oh, well, I mean, once I went big, the YouTube got saturated with First Amendment people.
I've seen Audit. What is it? Audit the Audit.
Oh, he's a piece of shit.
I saw that you guys got into some beef. How'd that happen?
Because he's a statist bootlicker who thinks that unconstitutional laws give the government the right to hurt innocent people. And I don't.
I think government overreach is so widespread. It's fucking ridiculous, personally. But
I mean, the founders are revolted for far less than what's going on now.
I've said the same thing. I think everyone's in agreement here. It's crazy to think that YouTube would ban your entire channel, though, when there's so many people that seem to be making so much money.
Well, they demonetized it. They didn't ban it. I can still put stuff up on there.
So,
and I sent them letters.
But that drives you out.
That's what they want to do. They want to push him off the platform so that he'll stop doing what he does.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're trying to do, and it's working.
See, I'm in California, right? So you know probably a lot of the politics and bullshit that goes on here. And they can strip your licenses to stop doing business. And most people continue anyway, just do it on the streets or whatever. But then, fines and more taxes and drama to try and drive you into privatized working for other people.
Right.
It's the same thing on YouTube.
Oh, I was a business owner well before I started YouTube, and the biggest enemy to a private business is government. The biggest enemy to freedom and people and commerce and prosperity is government. It's the biggest obstacle for an American.
We got hit with a 1% tax on equipment that we had no idea about.
1.2% now.
1.2%, sorry. So we own an electronics repair company called Love to Fix, if you're familiar.
Yes.
And, I had never seen this tax. And randomly they hit us with, well, you haven't paid this tax in 3 years. Nobody's told me. Nobody's said anything. And then they refused for a year to take the paperwork that says, hey, we owe. Certified
mail declined receipt at their amended address given to us by the actual assessor in charge of the entire agency.
And then they sent us a bill for $24,000 2 years later.
So let me guess. I made up some imaginary numbers, inflated it, pretended like.
So by our calculation, we owe $6,000 one year, $7,000 another year, $8,000 another year, and then back down to $6,000. And they're like, "Oh, you owe us $2,400." It's almost 10 times what they wanted it to be.
How's 24,000 is 1% of what? 20
of everything we own in the entire business, the building, counts against us, even though that belongs to the landlord. Equipment, tools, supplies, not office supplies, but any and every chemical we have, every tool, every component, every part, everything that isn't what a business admin uses on their desk. 1.2%
anything that isn't breathing.
tax. Breathing? If they could tax that, they would.
I bet Newsom's introducing it, especially with the air pollution issues.
They have to get your carbon dioxide output read.
I wouldn't doubt it. It's
Anytime someone brings up California to me in the past, I go, "Oh, that country."
That country.
I agree. So I don't know if you've seen our content, but I'm currently in the process of moving to Oklahoma.
Good.
Yeah, and it's a different world. I drove my California style electric vehicle from here to Oklahoma, took my family, visited for a week, loved it. The gas prices, electric prices were a tenth. Milk was a tenth of the cost. Life was better. The only shitty thing was the police officers. They get paid and drive all their revenue in the state of Texas and Oklahoma by traffic tickets.
Oh, great.
So I hit two.
So I run on extortion.
Oh, I hit two of the weirdest traps that this is what made me think of you originally, was that they had two traffic signs. One was 70 and 5 feet later it said 35.
There you go.
5 feet after that was a cop.
Sure.
Instant. Got me a ticket, couldn't argue it. Had to pay, I think, $250 to one. Got the second one dismissed because there was an issue with them writing a ticket, and then out of the state line, they gave me another ticket for being 2 miles over the speed limit, which was even more petty.
How dare you, bro? You're a terrorist.
He treated me like a terrorist. He had me in his car in Oklahoma. Hey, man, I got to take you to jail. This is 2 miles over the speed limit. I'm with my family and kids on a 26-hour road trip. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I was scared of shit.
Yeah.
How did you originally come to be the, what do they call it, a civil auditor, right? Is that what you...
I don't know. I'm just a constitutionalist since I was like 15 years old. And the first thing that got me started was I was in community college and I was in the library looking for material to read for an assignment. And instead of doing that, I found a book called The Federal Mafia by Irwin Schiff, which is about the fact that there's no law that says Americans living and working in the United States have to pay a tax on their labor, which it doesn't exist. No one can find it. Not a lawyer, not the IRS. No one can produce it. There's been $10,000 up to $300,000 in the rewards for anyone that can find it. No CPA, no lawyer, nobody can find it. It doesn't exist. And that's how I got started. And then from there, you open a wormhole. If they're lying about this and it's not all over the TV, like my friend's parents told me, if that was true, it'd be on TV, back in 30 years ago and in the early 90s. And now we know better that they omit certain things from TV on purpose. They're lying by omission.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember first hearing about that when Wesley Snipes had IRS issues, that he didn't want to pay his taxes because there was no law that said you had to pay your taxes. And
he got charged with 3 misdemeanors. He didn't even get charged with,
He didn't have to pay the taxes.
Huh?
Yeah, because he didn't end up paying the taxes. He paid a fine that was equal to the taxes, right?
Right.
So there's no law. Expect him to come after him for that taxes anyways after.
Yeah. So it wasn't even that he legally paid the taxes. It was that the judge said, hey, here's an amount that's equal to the taxes.
They got their bag. They don't care.
Exactly.
Just go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Just recently, you guys saw that Mega Million jackpot was $1.2 billion, right?
It got everybody spending money. My wife spending money. It was pointless.
Right. So the guy took the cash option, the guy that won in Illinois, and he got $434 million, and the IRS got the rest. It's like $800 million.
That's what, 70%? 60?
And then in the very near future after that, they hired 87,000 IRS agents. Where do they get that money?
Oh shit!
All right.
I thought that was just to try and get some of the student debt back.
Student debt, my ass. That's all an election ploy. So they think that the students are all on their side.
Oh yeah, what they do in 2020? They bought them with. They tried the racially motivated thing. They said if you're not black, you won't vote for me.
You're not black if you didn't vote for me.
Yeah, that. And then they tried.
Biden.
Yeah, striking down the wall, saying the wall was racist.
Even though they keep building it.
Yeah, they're still building it, but they're just building it with our money now instead of.
It's only racist when Trump's in office.
Oh, even when he's out of office, they're
you know what
Mar-a-Lago stuff.
However,
it's still his baby. They'll trace it back to him.
Dude, I'm not a fan of Trump either. Don't get me wrong. To me, he's a liberal. He said, "Go ahead and take people's guns without due process and give them due process afterwards." You know, one of the first things he did was make a deal with Saudi Arabia, a country who cuts people's heads off in the street and doesn't allow media in their country. He was very in tune with the Israeli, whatever you want to call it, moving the embassy. And, you know, anybody who doesn't go over there to Israel and bow down cannot be a politician in this country. Have you ever heard a politician go against Israel's actions and stop giving them the $3 billion a year since 1948? No. You never hear that in your life. Israel has to be our partner for some reason, even though, in my opinion, they're a terrorist, racist state.
They got the oil, don't they?
Yeah. I thought it was oil and weapons.
Well, the weapons they got come from us, $3 billion a year in armaments. And I don't know how much oil they got. They just have to control that region.
Damn.
So
with Trump, see, I wasn't a fan of Trump as a person. I think he's a very shitty person.
Right.
But I definitely saw that at the time we had him, he had some good points for why he would have made a good leader if he wasn't such a shitty person.
I agree. He could be a decent person, but he's got his own hangups and indoctrination from living in this country so long. Like he's not a constitutionalist. First of all, I think anyone that's in politics should know at least the Bill of Rights.
I'm 32 and I still don't know the Bill of Rights off the top of my head.
Yeah, but you got the gist of it.
Oh yeah, like what's correct and not correct, but
1, 2, 5, and 7.
It's like trying to read the 10 Commandments. It's like, man, when you were a kid, it was so good, but nowadays you're like, shit, I couldn't read you the number.
Oh, right to privacy. The important ones: 1st, 4th, 5th, 6th. The 7th is common law. Anything over $20. I think the 8th is cruel and unusual punishment. And then 9 and 10 is basically, if it's not delegated to the federal government, it's for the people or the states respectively to decide what goes on in their state.
Well, that's what they're doing with Roe v. Wade, right? Trying to delegate. Exactly.
And weed.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget weed. I'm not a weed person. Eric here is a weed person. He likes it. California legalized it.
I might be a weed person.
Hey. How does Florida treat weed?
Still illegal, except they have medical, and then the dispensaries put out low-grade crap, and it costs more, so it's still easier and cheaper to get it off the street.
See, that's so weird because California now, the dispensaries have the real high-end stuff, and it's still just as expensive.
But I blasted off that shit.
Yeah, blasted.
But you still have to pay X amount a year for a little slave card, right? That says you're allowed to buy weed.
I can walk up off the street, show them an ID, and get weed. I don't have to get any license or nothing. You can get a green card from a doctor to get like a 14% discount or something, but it's not required anymore. I can order it online and have it delivered to work today. Same day if I wanted to.
My employees do that shit. I hate it. I hate when they order weed to work.
Meet him across the street or something, dude.
Some guy comes in, some Rasta man, and it's always some white kid with dreads or something, and he smells or reeks of marijuana.
Yeah.
And it just reeks the entire lobby, the workplace up, and it's not even what he's delivering that smells.
It's him.
It's him.
I get cartridges. That's scentless, but the homie who's been smoking bud for 10 hours, like the same day.
That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So the smell bothers you.
yeah, because it's to me not as professional for a workplace and a business to smell like it. You don't go into H&M expecting to smell marijuana.
Yeah.
You know,
It's part of
What's
the
H&M?
image of a
it's
location.
like a clothing store, a high fashion store. But you go to Walmart.
I mean, until cartridges or wax or something, I mean, everywhere I went. I'm sorry. I mean, what about guys that smoke cigarettes or cigars? They stink. Dude, what about a guy who just had an Italian sub?
Someone's reeking of deli meats.
See, both.
Yeah, they walk in smelling delicious, but you're not hungry.
See now I have this problem with Togos. So I eat Togos like five days a week. It's the most convenient and easiest and delicious thing. And then I also smoke nicotine through a vape. So I meet both those criterias. So it's probably that I am too placated to the smells.
You just don't
to
smell
complain
them.
about.
I've worked here too long. I can't smell them either.
Yeah. Jesus.
When I worked at the casino, like the poker players would leave and come back, and I know exactly what they had to eat. Because the poker room doesn't smell like nothing, then they walk in smelling like the restaurant down the hall.
Oh, damn.
Especially in tuna sandwich eating motherfuckers. Like, get out of here with that, bro.
So one thing I hate about Subway, anytime I walked in, you'd smell their old tuna. God, Jared.
You know what?
I don't understand.
You know what tuna sub spelled backwards is?
Bus?
What is it?
Bus unit?
Bust a nut.
Oh my god.
My
that's
wife loves that joke.
That's priceless. Oh my god.
That's what they said to Jared when he got in.
Oh shit. Jared, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not laughing. I thought it was really
Isn't
funny.
he a sex offender?
Is it child? What is it? Child and
Something like that.
yeah, child.
Oh, he did some fucked up shit.
We're not
Probably in
laughing
jail.
at what he did. We're laughing at this fantastic joke I just told.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a great joke, but
It probably hits-
terrible man.
Terrible man. It's like saying Kim Jong-un or something, and you're like, shit, he killed a lot of people.
That's why he was in a meme with the big black dude saying, "You know what tuna sub spelled backwards is?"
I'll have to look that one up. I could send that to some people.
Right on.
Dude, how long have you been doing YouTube?
Since 2011.
2011. So back in the good old days that everyone talks about.
When I started, I did a little show called Scratchy Scratch Time because I had a restaurant right next door to a gas station, and I went on YouTube and I'm thinking, what can I get from the store or do something easy to make money? And some guy was scratching lottery tickets in a basement window with a rake, and it sounded like shit, but he had 30,000 views. So I started doing Scratchy Scratch Time, man, and I started getting big on that. And same thing, people were like shocked that I would call them, and they would call me randomly. Nothing like when I got big for the cop stuff, but still, it was a little following. And then 2017, the famous video where I was not speeding, get pulled over for speeding, and told the dude to go F his mom in nice effing boots at the end of the video. And the next day, I couldn't keep up with the comments. I couldn't believe it.
I couldn't understand.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't understand when I first saw that. I didn't know who you were, but that video is why I got onto your channel and then I saw your rings, your insurance you were selling, and I was dealing with a pretty nasty breakup / possible lawsuit, and that legal insurance was great. It was catapulted opportunities at the time. So it led me
Good,
into
man. I'm glad.
different insurance, and then we ended up having a burglary I made a shit ton of money on. I swear I couldn't have set it up better myself.
Good.
The whole system from there just kind of catapulted. But when I first saw it, I could not understand why somebody was so mad at a cop. Whoa.
Oh, really?
I'd never seen it before.
Oh, okay. So it was shocking. So it must have been shocking to me. I'm like, these guys are criminals. I think everyone knows it by now, but I guess everyone didn't know it.
No, yeah. Living in California, they're our best friends.
Oh,
Go ahead. Yes. Take me. And at the time, of course, I'm like, why is he so mad? What happened?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no context, of course, but is it
You want context?
Is it just the constitutional research you've done in the past that, like, knowing your rights, why you dislike the police, or was there something previous that got you?
Like right then, I was low on cash. What I did was Uber a lady to the college in Tampa, and on my way back from Tampa, I was stopping at a silver shop to buy 2 coins to make rings out of, and I was going to go home and make the rings. So instead of making it to the shop, this asshole pulls me over to steal my money, basically going to take my whole wage that day. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, so you just worked for nothing.
Right. And to me, again, this is from years and years and years of knowing what these people are about and the parasites they are. I get offended just being stopped by these pieces of shit, because who the fuck are you, first of all? I pay you. Secondly, who am I bothering? I'm driving in a straight line. I'm not bothering anybody, even if I was going 10, 20 over. Where's the victim? There's no victim. There's no plaintiff. There's no damages. There's no nothing. You're basically trying to steal my money, plain and simple. If you didn't have a costume on, you'd be a carjacker.
Oh yeah.
Because if anyone else did what cops do nowadays, they're considered criminals. But just because they're wearing a magic costume, it somehow is not a crime anymore. It's just logic. If you sit and think about it and don't think about, hey, it's been this way my whole life. If you look at plainly what's happening, it's one man with a gun is impeding an American's freedom to travel down the road and go about his day and earn the money to pay the taxes to pay his wages. He looks at him as prey. And their bosses, expect certain amount of activity, and they have to do it. And it's just a whole system of roadside extortion. They take between $4 and $7 billion a year from people for traffic stops, and they use traffic stops to just stop people and try to run who they are and look for warrants. It's a whole revenue generation scam backed by violence of the government. There's nothing legitimate about it. It hasn't stopped any speeders. It's not keeping anybody safe. On and on and on. And I can see through the facade of what they're doing, and most people are just like, costume, badge, good guy.
Have you seen the people, anything over 10,000 that gets seized? There was a gentleman or a veteran in, what was it, Reno, that got stopped with $100,000 in cash and it was seized. The
civil asset forfeiture, yeah. That's another thing I'm very against. That, driver's licenses, qualified immunity, them investigating themselves, and police unions. Those are my big topics that need to be crushed and gotten rid of for us to be at balance again with the government. The police are literally supposed to only act upon damages, endangerment, trespass, and victims. If none of those things exist, what are you doing other than literally impeding freedom and stealing the money of taxpayers?
I agree. IDs are a big thing for me because I didn't have a driver's license for 8 years?
Nor should you need one.
I got a DUI when I was a passenger in 2011 and ended up saying, well, fuck it, I won't pay him. And by the time I had a child and grew up, I was like, well, now I got to pay him. So I had to pay this lump sum to get my ID back. It was the worst time trying to get everything settled. Right.
And you have to do that in order to travel in your own private conveyance.
Oh, I drove
How
anyway.
did my car become, and then these gun grabbers that are like, they want you to register your guns. And you got people like me saying a registration always leads to confiscation. Ooh, we register our cars, and they confiscate those whenever they want, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
So registration leads to confiscation. The only reason you would register some private property of yours is, well, for what good reason? Give me a reason.
Yeah. So they can keep track of it.
It will give me a good reason.
I mean, they pretend it so if it gets lost or stolen, they can get it back to you.
Okay, so the manufacturers could put identifying numbers on the car, right? Where the license plate should be.
VIN number.
But then you could just say, I have this serial number off of someone else's property and it's not registered to anyone. So then what happens then?
How many burglaries have we had since you've worked for me?
3.
3. Have we ever recovered any of the serialized information? Have the police
not a
done
single
anything?
one. The police found the items in there and they were like, cool, maybe it'll get back to you.
Yeah, once.
Yeah.
So I don't understand serialization as it is anyway. IMEIs, I understand. Cell phones have a serial number that communicates on a broadband network. And so those are needed to communicate to the cell towers. Now, it can be used against them to track consumers' data, et cetera. But I understand needing to know where to send that traffic and how. That's a serialization I can get behind. But saying that a serial number needs to be tracked from state to state or country to country when nobody can physically grab that or retrieve it is pointless.
Aside from the electronic number, you can't even find a serial number on a device unless you've grabbed it, got it in your hands, got it turned on in most cases, and have access to it. It's useless if you don't meet all of those. Because they don't even print, my phone doesn't even have a serial number on it anymore. It's just got the IMEI number, which they could pull electronically.
So your question, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, so what have you done to try and combat that?
Let me answer his question first. You said if there's just serial numbers on the car, then it would say where the car was manufactured. It wouldn't tell you who was in it per se. And then what would we do? Well, that's where police work comes in. Investigate, find out. Or have you seen this car? Ask people around. They want it to be just like all the evidence just falls in their lap. And if you don't provide incriminating evidence against yourself, they start threatening you and getting violent. So police work would be the answer to that. There's so many of you, you could show up 14, 20, 25 deep for a guy with a camera, but you can't find a stolen car or property without it just being right there ready for you, all the information. So what was your question? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was saying, what have you done to combat having to serialize? Do you like VPN everything? Do you block out all your data? You try and keep everything private online so that cops can't?
No, I don't. That's so much work. First of all, it costs money. Secondly, and I don't care if they see what I'm doing because I'm wide open. I use my first and last name. You know what I mean?
I do the same exact thing. Everything's accessible on the internet nowadays. It's almost like the red pill is too far to avoid. So,
yeah, you got to use the system against itself.
Yeah. I think we were demonetized on a video about Amber Heard. And it was one of our most popular reels or shorts. It's like 8,000 views. And we're like, yeah, awesome. It's popping off. We're not really great at sharing it.
Amber Turd, the meme queen.
Yeah,
the lawyers pulled it.
So what we did, since I was banned off of Google Ads a long time ago, because one of our editors said, hey, post this, try and boost it, put some money into it, is apparently we can't upgrade to ads because I've been banned so long ago. And so what I had to do was register during business hours as its own LLC with its own new EIN. And that fixed the issue to create its own entity. But I think that's what Google and YouTube want from creators, is to try and separate it so they can control more of the asset.
You had to get an employee identification, basically start a business, and then use that, do DBA as that business instead of yourself.
Yeah, in order to run Google Ads on this channel,
you have to create a business as its own entity because it's not banned. You are.
Google hates
Oh
me.
my God. That's imaginary administrative corporate bullshit.
So Google likes to ban any third-party repair companies because they're partnered with Apple and Samsung.
We're not even supposed to mention that we work on iPhone or Samsung. We're supposed to just say cell phones and leave it at that. If someone's like, do you fix iPhones? We have to say yes and not elaborate at all. Because if we use iPhone in text or conversation, we've infringed on their proprietary rights or whatever.
That's bullshit.
Look up, do you know right to repair?
What do you mean?
Have you ever heard of it? Right to repair, Louis Rossman, any of that?
No.
So basically, Apple sued a bunch of independent repair companies. Similar to myself, they said, hey, you're infringing on our intellectual property. We don't want you to touch it. And if that's the case, then they just hit them with a bunch of lawsuits to crush them. Well, lobbyists big companies got behind them and said, no, we want schematics, proper tools, proper parts
Consumers
to
are
be
entitled to this information.
available to any third-party repair person. So they're trying to make it a law right now. Like back in the 50s and 60s, most consumers could just buy a replacement part and fix it themselves.
The manual detailed every single part to a code, what it was for, and you could go to Sears and be like, hey, I need 36.4, I need 10 of those, and they hand them to you, mail them to you, whatever they had to do.
So now they're trying to fight the big companies to force them to do that, but it's a uphill battle for sure.
How much would that affect your business?
Oh, if they gave all the parts out, we could triple or quadruple revenue for sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can't fix certain stuff because you can't have access to the parts.
Because they manufacture physically, informationally, digitally, they bar us from that information or those parts.
Yeah. They serialize a lot of stuff too. So like
even if you get your hands on an iPhone 13, you wanna fix one of those, you put a new screen on there, they have aftermarket options. You will forever have a notification that says this is a non-genuine part. Take it to Apple, throw this phone away. This phone's garbage. Don't do it. If you get the part from Google, which they're required by law to sell now, it'll do the exact same thing unless you specifically call them after you fix it and they, in their system, re-serialize it remotely and register it to their system that the part has been swapped. And even then, when they run an update, it could drop that software off, reactivate the notification, and now you got to call them again.
So it's all in programming.
Yeah. Big tech is trying to get the hold on not only the repair of their own tech they manufacture, but the control of the software, the serialization, the small components. Because there's a company in Texas called Texas Instruments that makes most of Apple's parts from
Definitely heard of them.
China. And so they're supposed to be allowed to sell certain things. But if I call them up and say, I want this chip or this component, they'll say, hey, you need an authorization letter from Apple because we only make it for Apple. But that should and technically is illegal to some of the consumer standard laws. But because it's in a contract with Apple, they'd rather not risk big business for a single person.
They'll have an Apple lawyer at their business defending them in an hour for any of those.
They don't care.
Yeah, that hurts. How long you been in business?
What is it? 9 years
Almost
in
9
December.
now.
Yeah. Damn.
9 years. That's a good run, dude. You guys doing good, I hope.
Yeah. We had up to 3 locations at one point and then sold one, partnered with another, and then sold that stake. And now I'm down to 1, trying to open something similar in Oklahoma when I get out there in a month. So that'll be hopeful.
Are you in the shop right now or is this somebody's house?
We kicked open a wall next door and rented the commercial space and then created an entire art studio and podcast studio.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys must be young. How old are you?
32. How old are you?
We'll be 30, 31 and on the 15th.
Yeah. You guys still have ambition.
How old are you, John?
46. I had 3 restaurants. I had a ton of ambition in my 20s, but I'm just getting older and fatter, and I have diabetes now. And my brain can run circles around everybody, but my body's like, what?
Body's
what are you
like,
doing?
give me a sec. I got
So is it true what they say that, what is it, at like 35, things just start falling apart and then so on?
I wouldn't say falling apart, but it's a gradual decline. And if you don't eat properly like me and they're fat, it makes it worse and faster.
Oh shit. I'm getting there, man. I got 2 kids now and Togo's killing me. I already had my gallbladder removed. I'm on the verge of diabetes. It's all the energy drinks and coffee.
That's my biggest issue. That's the issue I haven't been able to conquer my whole life, is just to stay off the food. Yeah, I get bored, man. My brain's got to be doing something. If it's not, right away it wants food for some reason. I don't know what it is. My hands got to be moving. I got to be playing pool. I got to be doing something.
If you're idle,
familiar,
your body reads it as activity.
Have you ever tried nootropics?
No.
So look into, there's something called lion's mane. It's a natural root.
Lion's mane mushroom?
Yeah.
I know all about that.
Yeah, so it's a nootropic and it helps with certain cravings and mindfulness and speed. It's kind of like,
me if I eat lion's mane mushroom, it might help me.
Oh, it could.
The mushroom that's supposed to taste like crab meat. Oh, no problem, bro. See, that's the solution we need.
Can we get that as a Rangoon?
So they put it in with, there's a company, I got to look this up.
Yeah.
What was that stuff Frank used to give us all the time?
The stuff that we hate.
Taste is not as much as the results.
Kratom.
They have a pill that's with kratom and lion's mane on Amazon.
Really?
Yeah.
I want that.
I'll send you the link.
I like kratom. That's good stuff. They tried to get that banned too, and then they had such a outcry. They said they let it extend for 2 years. I don't know where it's at now, but they wanted to ban that too.
Yeah, they're trying here.
And all it is the leaves of like a coffee plant.
Some people use it. I guess if you take too much of it, it can be considered opiate style.
If you take a tiny bit, it's good and focuses you. If you take a lot, it gets you going, gets you good.
Yeah, I like it. I like feeling good. I like sinking into the couch. I like watching a movie that way or whatever it is I'm doing. Why is that a problem with anyone else?
If you're doing it on your own, it shouldn't be a problem with anyone. It's people who, what do they say? If it affects other people negatively,
it's with anything. If it's an addiction or it's hurting other people, then it's a problem. If you're just doing it to chill out a little bit on the weekends, who fucking cares?
Isn't that more of the corporate, like, hey, go to work 12 hours a day, bust your ass. And
corporate is don't do drugs ever. You need to be ready to work. You got to be primed and ready. No
They're full of shit. I've never worked at a corporation where they follow their own guidelines. Ever.
They never do. They say they do so they can look good to investors and everything. And then fucking my managers are out back smoking weed with the fucking stock boy they just hired, That's
what it is. When I worked at the casino, and I read through their guidelines, I'm like, wait a second. As a matter of fact, after orientation, I walk into my shift. I walk into pre-shift where everybody's waiting to talk to the manager does a pre-shift. The first word I heard was the N-word screamed real loud. Hello.
That's a new one. So they just yelling the N-word?
Some guy just said the N-word real loud, and when I started actually getting in there and working, it was like 7 black dudes and maybe an Asian, maybe a couple Hispanics and me, and they just use that word on the regular. They call each other that and stuff, and like the policies in the casino are definitely not that.
Yeah. Well, nowadays everything's so changed. You can't, there's a lot more sensitivity, I would say, transparency. But when I was a kid, everyone said it, in groups. I was in lower income areas and we all,
dude, it's intent.
Yeah. It's crazy the way that it's changed so much.
We used to say the F word for gay people when we were kids, but we didn't mean that you wanted to have sex with men.
Yeah.
We used it as like a substitute for lame or gay, rather. We used to say gay. That shit's gay. We didn't mean that it wanted to have sex with the same gender. We meant it was lame.
Well, we used to say, what was it, GH gay? That it was, dude, that's gay. And that was, and you'd even write it that way. I have an old notebook that we'd go to like Fall Out Boy concerts, do our little punk emo stuff, and be like, yeah, that's gay.
That's going to confuse some historians.
Oh, probably. The historians, it's going to be like Star Trek to a very indigenous person in a random planet. They're going to think, well, Spock, they're stupid. All downhill.
What other topics you got? What about the gun thing?
Oh, God, where do we start on guns? I'm more Second Amendment. I think somebody kicks in your door, you should be able to shoot them. Win, lose, or draw. If they're not welcome, they're not welcome. Most states agree with me. California is not one of them. California, they're a victim the moment they're hurt, whether they slip and fall.
Even the desperate situations that force them to break in your house are not their fault, and it's your fault for injuring, harming, maiming, whatever them.
So where do you guys stand? You say it's good to take out someone that crosses the threreshold uninvited, right?
I think crosses the property.
Not just I'm not talking about they walk through a door that was open and they're not threatening you, but if they're busting their shoulder or they come in with a gun or whatever, in a threatening manner. You should almost expect to get shot in this country. That's the whole point.
We had a guy on a video we showed that got stabbed. What was it, by the sword? He fought.
The spear guy.
Yeah, the guy fought him with a spear.
Oh my god! This dude busted into this dude's house because he's just some dorky white guy who lives alone. And the guy runs over to his closet, pulls out his utility spear, and fucking sticks this guy. Fucking stabs him, once in the gut. He turns around and runs, stabs him twice in the back, and that homie bled out in his lawn. Like, that shit was crazy.
See, in a home,
where was that
at? Oh god, that was I think Oklahoma,
Midwest,
Texas area.
Okay.
I think there's a difference between shooting somebody dead in your home, your den, your castle, and a business. So we watched a video through, what was it, Vegas? Some guy had been robbed a few times and carried a knife.
A box cutter thing.
A box cutter or like a 3-inch blade. And a couple of kids broke into or tried to snatch and grab a bunch of stuff.
At the vape shop?
Yeah, the vape shop.
Vape shop, yep.
That was fucking fantastic.
So I thought the same thing at first. How many times have you watched that video?
I don't know, 10.
So after probably 5 or 6 times of watching the video, I started to sympathize with that kid.
7 times.
7 times was stabbed.
Okay.
And didn't strike until he was stabbed 3 times.
Didn't strike?
So he didn't strike the owner or attack the guy until he was stabbed 3 times.
Oh, he attacked the guy when he went over his counter.
It's just stuff in a business, though, that should be insured.
Okay, how many of those attacks should he tolerate before he gets to do something?
My thing is, if he was touched once, you could say that there's self-defense there.
That's when it progresses past the assault into more battery territory.
Dude, 2 dudes come in with masks on, with ill intent.
Kids.
It
doesn't matter.
Yeah, you don't know that.
It doesn't matter if they're kids. One dude was like 6 feet tall.
Oh, yeah. He could have been 50.
And if they're kids and they're doing that stuff, there's a huge problem with their parenting. Let's go there, first of all. Secondly, you jump over my counter or, he doesn't know if they're just going to snatch and grab. You don't know what they're going to do to you. You don't know if they have weapons on them. And in the rage of the moment right there, that dude was just like, fuck you. And he did what he did. The point is, don't start no shit and there won't be no shit. That's the bottom line.
See, up until I watched that video, and even in previous podcasts, I thought, okay, if somebody tries to hop a counter, I'm just going to shoot him in my business. Absolutely. Even California, I got lawyers. I was like, but shit, something in that video, watching it so many times, I was like, it's just somebody's kid. I felt really bad for him. He was like, oh, I'm dead, falling over. The guy just tosses him. I'm like,
yeah, I was laughing when he was screaming, I'm dead.
The first time when we posted the video, that's all you see. But after the video of us watching it, I kept watching it that night. And I was like, well, fuck, I got a son, I got a daughter. I don't know what's going to happen to me, happen to them after. What if they get into stupid shit doing snatch and grabs? Because I've stolen stuff from stores, but I've never done it that way. When I was a kid, we used to throw pants over pants and belts over belts and take off from Hot Topic. If you got caught, you're like, oh, sorry, here's your stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But man,
I'm pretty sure back in the day, they weren't allowed to touch you. They had to call the cops.
Oh, we got tackled. Back then, Target could literally manhandle you in the parking lot. And so I got picked up when I was a kid and dragged back in a cart.
From Fry's, we've had loss prevention officers been told to get to the cop car by cops and then helped chase down and tackle people. They called it the cowboy days.
Yeah, the cowboy days.
So what do you think is the problem? That he stabbed him too many times?
I think he should have either been assaulted or just stepped back.
I'm sorry.
Just gonna grab
step back and let him rob you?
Yeah. Well, because if he's in California or Vegas, or sorry,
I knew one of the kids.
What was it? You knew him?
He says their name. He's like, "Come on, Kyle, don't do me like that."
Oh shit, I didn't see that part. I focused on the stabbing.
Yeah, no.
But
he stabbed the guy he didn't know. That's the unknown agent. But the other person who ran out the door and left his homie to fucking get murdered.
Oh, there's 2, one on the lookout.
There's one holding the door too. But yeah.
But it made me rethink how I would act in my own business.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time we had this rule: if I say fucking down, you're going to drop to the floor. Because we have a hollow wall in front of where the reception is. And I've got 16 cameras. So I'm like, well, I could place one through this hollow wall if somebody pulled a gun out or tried to stab you guys.
I can almost see like one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies where he's in the security room and he's like killing all the people.
Oh yeah.
That'd be you.
So that's how I felt. But man, I sympathize with the kid where he got stabbed 3 times before assaulting anyone. He was just grabbing stuff. And who knows what the circumstance is. Maybe he was the kid who got told by his friends it's going to be easy. You know, he was the one who was going to grab while somebody distracted.
This is Marcus. He's a bitch. We're going to take his shit.
You never know. But
still, he decided on his own to walk in there.
Oh yeah, it's totally his fault. I'm not saying that.
The solution, I guess, would be, because you don't like that he almost got murdered or killed, rather.
Mm-hmm.
The solution would be you get one of them CO2 pepper ball guns that it will drop anybody pretty much, and he won't die. I guess that'd be a compromise, but I don't want to be forced to do that.
See, I don't think if somebody had a gun, though, a pepper ball gun isn't going to drop a lot of people.
Yes, it is. The new ones will drop your ass. You won't be able to breathe. I don't mean drop you with blunt force. I mean, just as soon as you take a whiff of the stuff that comes out of there, you can't see or breathe. So you're
disorienting. Yeah,
you're rendered useless. And at that point, you can just go kick them over.
I'd be all up for giving him a beating after. I just felt for the kid being stabbed that many times. I thought it was a little brutal. You know, after he got hit, everything else was good. But
I think that American parents need to stress to their kids that if you do something dumb, you can get killed in this country. So don't do stuff that's dumb. Don't hang out with dummies. It all goes back to parenting if you really want to get down to it.
Oh yeah. Well, so I'm a stepfather to my 6-year-old, mm-hmm. and her biological father is a bit of a wannabe gangbanger. So run-ins with cops, charges against violence of police officers, charges against women, stuff like that. And he's trying to turn a new leaf. But so at the time he has visitation, tells my daughter, hey, cops are bad. Run. Don't deal with cops. They're the bad guy. They're always bad. So anytime, and I know police officers that come to my house or talk to us at the store. We do business with SAC PD here.
Yeah.
Nice people. But she had a fear up until she was 5 of police being bad guys. They'll take me away. They'll take daddy away. They'll take you away. And I had to tell her it's a very different thing. Not all cops are bad cops. Some are just in a different way trained to do bad. And the system that puts them there is bad in the first place. But, you can't be afraid of it. You just got to try and take it as it comes.
So take it as, so basically judge each cop by it personally?
Well, if she gets older, the thing that I'll tell her is wait for the first line out of their mouth. If it's a question, it's usually bad. If it's a statement, they're looking for something, you don't have to answer. And if it's a demand, stay the fucking silent. Stay silent.
Yeah, that's the best advice is, I don't answer questions.
Exactly.
I'm the story. That's the kryptonite to police. Cameras, and I don't answer questions.
God, I don't think cameras even are working anymore because they have the damn body cams and they cut that shit so often anyway.
No, I'm talking about our cameras, not their fucking garbage shit that they pause and mute and get rid of and corrupt.
Well, they started doing that if you're not live streaming, I guess, for other people to view it, then they can just crack it, snap your phone, lose evidence, etc.
Yeah. You have to get away with your video too. You have to escape the scene.
That's the hard part.
Because unless you got that shit going to the clouds, they bust that phone, it's dead. Well,
God.
Usually. Not always. But.
So somebody as big of an audience as you have, would you say, because knowing you're demonetized now, I saw that you were doing like giveaways and stuff. Are you doing more brand deals? Is that bringing in anything from YouTube?
What do you mean? You mean that through night flashlights?
Yeah.
Those that's some lady from China who contacted me a while back and asked me if I wanted to review her flashlights, and I'm like, shit, I'll take anything for free. And they were really nice flashlights. And I just started giving them away. I don't really have any other sponsors. I just put some crypto links in my stuff, but there's $0 have I got from YouTube in over a year.
Have you tried Twitch or what is it? They have even what's that Spaces on Twitter now where people can do cash and followers.
I don't know what it's called, but yeah, Twitter has a live thing. They have new platforms for you individuals to kind of like a TikTok live, but a little bit better, a little more reach, more direct audience.
The thing with that is, on those platforms, I'm like, nobody. YouTube is the platform, and I've tried, like Twitch, for instance. Which YouTube cop watchers are going to go to Twitch?
A lot.
Do they really?
Yeah. A lot of the auditor guys do like reviews of videos and stuff like that. What is it? Donut guy?
Donut operator?
Yeah, he does Twitch as well.
Well, he's a piece of shit. He started as a gamer and a skater.
He looks like one of those. I had an employee like him once, Matt. You know, imagine Matt as a YouTuber. That's what Donut operator looks like. Seems just like a redneck.
Like you would always expect him to be interesting, and it would just be the most just normal shit all the time. Yeah,
basically. Yeah. I don't know. Everything seems like it's really hyped, and then as soon as he starts talking, I'm like, "You're a 12-year-old with a mustache."
Who's the
pedo mustache?
He's always wearing the white shirt. He's got the long hair.
White shirt.
He's one of your streamers. He's got the goatee.
High impact. High impact flicks. Brian Young. High impact flicks. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm looking it up right now. Sorry.
Donut operator made a video about me when I started getting big. And I made about 30 videos slamming him and challenging him to a debate. And what all these coward bootlicker statists have in common is they're scared to debate a high school dropout like me.
Holy shit, there is a bunch. Oh my God, I never saw that.
What?
Donut operator has a bunch of videos on you. Holy shit.
On me?
Oh no, you have a bunch on Donut operator, and then you have Donut operator has the Johnanine featuring Mike the cop.
That's the one he made about me. So he made that about me, and I challenged him at least 30, 40, 50 times to a debate. And he's the biggest in the world. He will not debate. Anyone who's scared to debate has no argument. That's my philosophy. You're going to run your mouth. You're going to lick the boots. You're going to say cops are allowed to steal your car and bind you up and enforce all these victimless crimes. Let's have a conversation about it. What are you so scared of?
What does he support?
The police. He used to be a cop.
Oh, that's why.
He was a SWAT cop too. So he was a drug war cop. And when he reviews videos, he'll say like, so these people's cars needed to be confiscated. And you just skip over that part. Like, wait, why did their car need to be stolen from them? That's a big deal when you take someone's fucking car.
Oh yeah. It's livelihood to most people.
He glosses right over that. Like, that's okay. And then the way they're acting by having their car stolen, they're the bad people.
I could not fucking imagine. I haven't watched any of his content.
The bad people are the ones getting their property stolen, not the people who are stealing the property. Think about that logic.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. In California, I wish the cops stole more vehicles because there's a lot of homeless people that now park their vehicles and it's considered a home. So they're allowed to cut the tires off, put it on the sidewalk, and now that's their private property. So they can't tow it. They can't take it. They can build 3 houses on top of it, like tiers. And now they've got a moving condo that the state can't touch.
And you wish what? They would take those from them?
Oh, absolutely.
And what happens to them?
There's a lot of programs here in California that they have financed with nearly, I think it's like $20 billion, something like $17 billion for just the homeless.
17.8, yeah.
Yeah. And for some reason, Newsom, Steinberg have not given them a dime.
Okay.
They need to start paying the homeless because we have a problem massively here in Carmichael where homeless try and break in every night to the back doors of some of the buildings here. and they've lit fire to a couple of the commercial real estate buildings.
They just shit on the property.
Oh yeah, they've shit and pissed on the doors, wiped it on handles, smashed car windows. Catalytic converters keep getting stolen by homeless.
So the problem is, and I'm going to put on my politician hat, the problem is that when they're out just in public, they have nowhere to use the bathroom. They're stealing stuff. So if I were a politician, I would say, let's find a piece of property that's owned by the city, fence it off, gate it off, have one guard there, and people who have their cars like that can park it there at night, not on the streets. How about that?
Well, they did that.
That didn't work either?
No, they bought a piece that was landlocked with no entry, and then they're asking for more money so they can build an overhead highway to reach the landlocked piece of land that for some reason they had no idea was 3 miles landlocked.
So that's just another failure. But if my solution came to fruition and it worked properly, it might be a solution, no?
Yeah, probably. But how bad's the homeless in Florida?
I mean, they're bad. I live out in a suburb like 20 minutes, 30 minutes north of Tampa, and the guys are sitting at red lights with cardboard signs. And then the closer you get to Tampa, the more and more and more there is. So
we have on average 2 to a sidewalk corner. That's how many homeless people in California right now.
Isn't that a reflection of the political system there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But they keep voting them in, right? I don't know why. Even Joe Rogan just said vote.
TV watchers, dude. That's why the people voting them like Nancy Pelosi in. Well, how old do you think they are? Where do they get their info? How have they been voting their whole lives?
I think it comes down to colleges. The colleges are so much liberal based and trying to be free in thought that they're pushing these kids
to vote Democrat.
To vote Democrat like it's going to change something. But in reality, I think the mindset, in my opinion, is flipped, because I've asked so many people what the party for Lincoln was, Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Everyone tells me that he was a Democrat.
Nope.
He's a fucking Republican. Republicans freed the slaves.
The Democrats have been the biggest racists in history. Have they not? The guy from South Carolina, Bird or whatever his name was, or?
In my opinion, yes. I think they're changing the history and trying to flip the script over time. They're doing a good job at it. They're good at social media.
They are. That's what they do. They're not out working jobs and doing manual labor. They're doing that kind of garbage.
Well, let alone the stock manipulation, but there's not enough time here today for that.
That's another story.
Yeah. Oh, John, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for letting us in. You know, we're sorry to hear about all the issues you're having with YouTube, for sure.
It's all good. Got me working again. It's good for my body.
Oh, well, I'll send you the info on the nootropics for sure, and we'll get back with you. Hey, everybody, if you enjoyed that, let us know. Hit the share button, and we'll see you later.
Life can be super happy, life can be super sad. I'm trying super hard to separate the good and bad. I go back to my future just to get to my past. But knowing me, my DeLorean will probably